Hey, welcome back, guys. So, my NOS cylinder and my NOS piston have come in the mail. I'm still waiting on the piston rings, but even before I get the rings, one of the critical measurements to make sure everything's going to work is what they call piston skirt to cylinder wall clearance. Okay, you have a solid piston, but at the bottom you have this skirt, and pistons are purposefully made kind of smaller up top than they are at the bottom, because this is where all the heat happens and it dissipates, so it gets down to the skirt. So this will expand more than the skirt will. So this dimension here is the critical dimension, because this will expand more than this will. So according to the manual, the Suzuki manual, we want a piston skirt to cylinder of 0.0022 to 0.0026 inches. Okay, I already made measurements, but I'm going to show you how I did them. So the skirt is easy. Okay, we're going to take our calipers. Let's see if I can get this. Okay, you want to measure 90 degrees from the pin, because obviously that's the only place you have the skirt, and about 3/4 of an inch down. All right, so we're going to come down here. We're going to measure this, get it 90. All right, so right there is a good measurement, and you can see we are at, oops, hang on, can't do that. We are at 1.8, I hope you can see that, 1.8490. All right, so I wrote that down, 1.8490 for my skirt. Okay, now we put that aside. And I know some people are going to say you should use micrometers. For what we're doing, this is going to be fine. So here is a bore gauge. I have a kit that has different sizes. This is the size for this type of barrel, which is roughly 47 millimeters. So what you do, here you have, this tightens it, and these are spring loaded. And then when you get it where you want it, you can tighten it and it holds your measurement. Okay? So because I want to measure, because the critical condition is the skirt, and the piston is going to be inserted this way with the arrow towards the exhaust, so that's the skirt side. Okay? It is tight. So I'm going to go down about an inch into the cylinder. So what you do is you get it in, tighten up your spring, and then as you rock it forward, it will compress in, and eventually you'll go past center and it'll get loose. Okay? I like to tighten it just to make sure. All right, now we'll measure this. So our cylinder is about 1.85. Okay, 1.8500. So 1.8500 and 1.490, you subtract those, and you'll get a difference of 0.0010. Obviously, that is way too small, because I need at least 0.0022. All right. So even though these are NOS, you should always measure this, and I always measure them more than once, which I've already done, to make sure my measurements are repeatable. So because I need more clearance for my piston skirt, and I can even tell when I try to put it in, it is very tight. It's a very tight fit. Now remember, the skirt won't come all the way up to here. but even down there, it's a tight fit. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hone this out myself. So I bought a flex hone, ball hone, some people call it. Flex hone is the brand. Okay, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to hone this and see if I can increase my gap there a little bit. All right, so that's how we measure this. You can't just slap this together. If I just slapped this together and just went with it, assuming I have my rings, I probably would seize the engine and I would probably at least ruin the piston, possibly ruin the cylinder to the point of having to get it rebored. Then when the rings come, we'll measure the ring end gap, which according to Suzuki, the ring end gap should be from 6 to 14 thousandths of an inch. So we will put those in and I'll show you how we do that when I get the rings. But for now, I'm going to try to hone this and see if I can get my clearances where I want them. Okay. Again, I know there's going to be guys who are going to tell you this is not the most accurate way. Maybe, maybe not. I've been building engines this way for 40 plus years and I've never had a problem doing this. I mean, we have some decent gaps. You know, if I'm off 1,000th, if I'm off 1,000th of an inch, it's not going to matter. Okay, so this is how I do it. Feel free to do it whatever way you think is best. All right, until next time. For now, we'll stop here. I'll try to hone these, and after I hone the cylinder, I'll bring you back and we'll measure it again and see how we made out. All right, welcome back. So sometimes you just have to know when you need a professional. I used my ball hone or flex hone, and I honed on this for quite some time, and it's just not coarse enough to make that big of a difference as far as opening up my clearances enough. I got one hell of a nice crosshatch though. I don't know if you guys can see this on camera. I don't know if this will show up that well on the camera or not, but I got a really, really nice crosshatch on it. I'm not sure how well this will show up, but excuse me. But I got myself a really nice crosshatch, but it's just not opening up the clearances enough. Just not usually those flex hones just aren't quite aggressive enough. I was hoping a little bit beyond hope in order to save a little bit of money on this little TC90. But I'm going to have to take this to the machine shop and have him open it up just a little bit. So sometimes you got to know when you need a professional to do something. You can't always do everything yourself, and this is going to be one of those times. I need those clearances opened up more than I can do here at my home shop. So I gave him my best shot. We'll have to have the machine shop do it. Hopefully I can get a pretty quick turnaround because I'd like to get this bike back together before it gets too cold here. But for now, that's where we have to stop. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Have another video. And until then, get out in the garage and work on something. Bye. Well, welcome back, guys. So I got a good update for you. I persisted with my honing, and after a long time of honing, cleaning, and so on and so on, I finally got it. I was actually able to get it without having to go to the machine shop. I managed to get myself a bore measurement of 1.8515. Of course, the skirt measurement didn't change, which gets me a piston skirt to cylinder clearance of 0025. I need to be 002 to 0022 to 0026. Okay, so I'm good. Okay, service limit, believe it or not, is actually 0.01. So this will be fine. And actually my skirt measurement kind of flops between 8490 and 8495. So it's probably actually a little bit tighter than 0025. So I went on, I measured the rings. The way you do this is put your ring in like this, squeeze it together, and get it down in there a little bit. Flick it over, all right, press it down in. Then use your piston, just put it down in there to where it's square in the bore. Then get your feeler gauges out and measure that gap, okay? And I measured on both my rings a gap of 0.1, and I'm allowed 0.06 to 0.14, so I'm good. All right, so then you just have to put them on the piston. So I put one on already. And these pistons have a little tits in them. There's one there and one there, and you want that gap to go there, and that way when they close, that stops the rings from turning. Okay, so you want to keep them there. And the other thing I do is I put one of my circlips in. You might not be able to see this. I put one circlip in one side so that when I push my wrist pin through, which is here, okay, it'll stop when it hits that circlip and not just go out the other side. I don't have to worry about going too far or anything. So put your piston rings on very carefully. Okay, I like to start in the back and then very carefully open these. They're very easy to break, so do not stretch them more than you need to, and work them down into your groove. Like that. And spin them to where they're between that pin. That one goes there. This one goes there. Okay. All right, and then you have it on your piston. You'll have an arrow. That arrow points towards the exhaust, so it's going to go in like this. Okay, obviously up from the bottom, but you get the point. So you want your piston arrow to point towards the exhaust. Okay, so the next step is going to be I'm going to put the piston on my connecting rod. I'm going to make sure my rings are in position, and I'm going to get a ring compressor to compress them. I like to put a little bit of oil on, and then I will set the cylinder down over top. But let me get set up for that. I got to put a base gasket on, get my ring compressor out, and I'll bring you guys back in a little bit. Well, unfortunately, I forgot to press record. I thought I was recording this whole time, and apparently I wasn't. So anyway, I got the piston rings on like I showed. What I use I don't have ring compressors that are this small. So actually what I have is I have a bunch of these slightly wider clamps. And I get my piston rings where I want them, cinch this up, push the cylinder down over top. I oil both the inside of this clamp, and I oil my piston, slide the cylinder down. Then I can undo the clamp and snake it out around the connecting rod, and the cylinder is on. So if I go over here and you can see it goes, got real nice action. So we should be good. All right, so that's on. The only thing left to do is put the head on. If you've never seen a two-stroke head, because there's no valves or nothing, here's what I cleaned this up some. There's a lot of pitting in this. I may look for another head. There's a lot of pretty deep pits in it. I don't know if they show up or not, but I think it'll work for now. There's the nuts and stuff for it. spark plug. So just a matter of putting my, I can't forget my gasket. Oh, in case anybody's wondering, I did not forget to put the other circlip in. Once you get the pin through, then you put the other circlip in. I stuff rags into the base of the crankcase, so in case that circlip is flying, it doesn't fall down into my crankcase. Have to assemble a whole engine for that would really suck. So gaskets, head. There we go. We'll put the nuts on. I will look up the torque spec and torque them on. Put my exhaust on. Here's my exhaust, and should be able to test fire it up and see how it does. All right, when I get it all put back together, I'll bring you back for fire up, see how it goes. Hey guys, welcome back. Well, as you can see, I got it all put back together. Exhaust is on, head's on, spark plug's in. There's gas in the gas tank. I think we're ready to try a start here. Let's see if we can get her to fire up. I already had the gas turned on. And of course, in typical old bike fashion, the carburetor has now decided to overflow and leak. So I have the gas turned off at the moment, but the carburetor is full. So turn the key on, set the choke. Let's see if we can get her to start. Now all of a sudden the carburetor has decided to start leaking. But hey, she's a runner. Started up fairly easy. All seems to be pretty good. So I guess I'll work on the carburetor and just check everything over real good again. But hey, this bike's basically done. She starts. I'll take her out for a ride around the yard at some point, but otherwise I'm going to call this project pretty much complete. She's running, she starts, she even idles nicely. So I'm sure if I get a new needle and stuff for the carburetor, everything will be good to go. So hope you guys enjoyed these this series of videos on this little TC90, and I'll have to figure out what we're going to work on next. But for now, you know, go find yourself a project and get out in the garage and work on something. Until next time.